Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello, I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm Tristan Riddell.
And welcome to the Senate floor.
Talk nerdy to me.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Oh, that's right. Welcome to the Senate floor. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, subscribing, downloading, and everything that you do in order to help this show along. We really appreciate your support. This is episode 44. And Matt, I got to tell you, I think we have some of the best listeners around there because our numbers are just going up, up, up. I think ever since we turned the Nerd Party into a network with the help of our friends, I feel like our audience is growing. We're getting more audience participation. And we even got a new host for the show. I mean, it's just so cool to see this many people be entertained by what we're doing.
I'm very happy to see, knock on wood, this network thing is working. So hopefully it continues to grow, it continues to flourish, and who knows, we may get more hosts by the end of this year. I have no idea.
Well, we're recording this on the weekend. It's been easy to coordinate our schedules because it's always just been 1 hour between the two of us, just 1 hour difference. But for some reason, your location does not participate in daylight savings time.
Wisely.
And now we're 2 hours apart. And I am basically a taskmaster because I was like, no, we got to do it at this time. And you're like, yeah, but that's Saturday and I don't want to get up that early. So I feel bad for making you get up this early because you look downtrodden. You look a little tired.
In my defense, listeners, I mean, the only reason I say that is not because I'm lazy. It's because I get up at 5. I get up before the sun even rises every day for work. So, the Saturday morning and Sunday morning are the 2 days I get to actually rest. And
I deprived you of that.
Yes, but I might take a nap later, so,
No, what really sucks is that you and I are very, very close in age. Like, we're only a few years difference. That's it. But for some reason, in that few years, I have lost the ability to sleep in, and I hate it. Like, because I always made fun of my parents growing up because, I could sleep till noon if I wanted to. And they're like, oh, you're wasting the day. And now I can't go past 7:30.
No, I've gone past 10.
Oh, jeez. You also stay out later than I do.
I do. And, lots of stuff happens at night, hanging out with friends, drinking, all the stuff that you don't do.
I hang out with friends sometimes, just not at night. I very much am a cantankerous old man. By the way, I loved your show with Lee last week. When you guys talked about the beauty of going to the cinema. I think you guys brought up some really cool points and some really cool issues. And when you talked about how this is a show I could never do with Tristan, I was just like, yeah, I can't take offense to that because it's just true.
Well, we created the filibuster for that purpose. If you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it and hear me knock Tristan for being an old man for hating to go to the movie theater.
I am getting more excited about movie theater going experiences ever since the new theater opened up. I think it's AMC near where I live. It's just right down the street, and it's real plush. I mean, you have something like this, but I didn't. But it's real plush seating, full on recliners, and it's a designated seating, and it's just like high quality entertainment and like subs in the seats. And so I pre-ordered Batman versus Superman. And, I wasn't nervous about it whatsoever. I'm just like, yeah, it's opening weekend. I don't normally go opening weekend, but there's huge separation between the individuals like in front of and behind me. And I can get there right up until the movie starts because my seat is reserved for me. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I did that for Star Wars. And that was probably one of the best things I ever did.
Because when I saw Force Awakens, we got there like 40 minutes early and it was still half full. And I hate doing that, and I'm glad that I don't have to do that anymore.
Good. So maybe you actually go to the movies more often, huh?
I probably will. I might. I mean, I got Batman versus Superman on the docket. I haven't bought my Captain America tickets yet because the person I'm supposed to go with won't know when he can go until like a week out, and it's bugging me.
Would it surprise you to know that I haven't bought mine yet either?
I'm hugely surprised. I would have thought that you would have been the open dayer, like you just get it.
I do have a legitimate reason. Last week behind the scenes when Lee and I were talking, he was mentioning how much he enjoys whenever these like new blockbusters come out that are sequels. He likes doing the movie marathons where they show like the previous films in the series. And I was thinking, well, I've never done that. I've seen that done here. They do it for a lot of these blockbuster films, but I've never done that. And it just so happens one of the theaters here is doing a Captain America marathon of starting way in the morning. So I would be getting up just as early, but I would be taking the day off of work if I did this. And they show First Avenger, the First Avengers, Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and then you end with Civil War. When he mentioned that, he said, "Oh, you should do it." I've been debating in my head whether or not I'm going to do this, because if I do it, this would be the time, because I won't be able to do it when I'm in school next year. So that's why I have not bought my tickets yet, but I will. I'm going opening day. I'm either doing that marathon or I'm going May 5th, the day before it opens.
That sounds exhausting to me. Like, I love doing marathons, don't get me wrong, but I love doing them in my pajamas, in my bed, with breaks in between. And being in a theater seat for that long all day, that just sounds like work to me.
Well, it's not like they play the films one right after the other. I think they give you breaks, and they give you like super discounted concessions, and it's basically like camp at a movie theater all day.
How much breaks in between, do you know?
I'm not sure, but I know they don't go one right into the other. I've talked to people who've been there before. They let you go to the bathroom and all that stuff and get more food. They want to sell you more food, so you know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, because that's how theaters make a big chunk of their money, is through concessions. And I did appreciate what Lee was talking about with the UK cinema, about how the audience is much more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to sound stereotypical,
reserved.
but much more reserved, proper, and everything like that. If anybody makes any kind of noise, everyone stares at them until they shut up. Oh man, I wish we had that culture in the cinema.
How about that? Like when we were talking about the fact that the UK just has this pass that you just buy this pass for whatever amount of money that it is, and you just go to the films and you don't have to buy tickets every time you go. How awesome would that be?
And he says it's like what did he say? Like £24 or something like that a month, which is basically nothing.
It's a little. I mean, £24. If you double it, it's about $50. So,
yeah, but think about how many movies you could see to make that cost up.
That's my point. So if you're willing to put down the down payment, if you're someone who goes to the movies a lot like me, I think it would pay off.
Yeah, I might go to the movies more knowing that I had that pass. Now, and you wouldn't have to do it every single month. He says that you can do it month to month. So if if there's one particular month that you're going to see a whole bunch of movies, you could buy this pass for $50 and then go to all of them and have a great time. And then next month you're just like, I don't feel like dropping $50 on movies. You don't have to. It's just, yeah, I think I would go see more movies if I had the option to say, okay, yeah, this is, I can see this as many times as I want.
I think you would also go to the options if you had the option. I think you would also go to the movie theaters more if you had the option to strangle, if strangling was legal.
we lived in like a Judge Dredd world where I'm judge, jury, and executioner in the movie theater. Yeah, I would live in that world. I like that idea. Well, talking about theater experiences that will never be, sadly, in the United States is not what our main topic is today, but what we are talking about is TV shows and movies in development. And we're using the term in development very loosely. Don't hold us to that term. We could talk about upcoming movies and TV shows, stuff in pre-production, stuff in production. It's all just movies that aren't coming out this year, but coming out in the future. I guess we could say that.
Right.
And some of these shows that I'm going to be discussing, like I have a lot of TV shows on the list. You have a lot of movies on the list, and some of these TV shows have already been picked up, or like some of these are just pilots that have been made, but yet, haven't been picked up, or some are pilots that have been ordered, and haven't been made yet. So, and with movies, we got movies coming out in 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Right. Not too far in the future, because studios these days like to talk big games when it comes to 10-year plans and all that sort of stuff, but they're not scheduled yet, so we can't really talk about them unless they're scheduled.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that there's so many movies out there. I mean, especially in our world, the geek world, there's so many movies saying like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to create this cinematic universe, and we're going to do this and that and that and this. And sometimes you have to go like, okay, slow your roll. I understand you're excited. But if this movie fails, you might have to readjust. That kind of thought process needs to go on. Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and start with a few TV shows here. So one thing that I'd really like to talk about is there's one TV show that piqued my interest, and it's starring Kiefer Sutherland. I'm a big Kiefer Sutherland fan, mainly because of 24. And this is a concept that is just, it's so cool once you find out about this, because this is a real thing. It's called Designated Survivor, and this is how it's described. A lower-level United States cabinet member, played by Sutherland, is suddenly appointed president after a catastrophic attack during the State of the Union kills everyone above him in the presidential line of succession. This is a family drama wrapped around a conspiracy thriller about an ordinary man in an extraordinary situation. This is a real thing. They do this. Like during the State of the Union, they have someone that they lock up in a bunker just in case there's some sort of bombing at the State of the Union. And they're called the designated survivor so that the line of government is maintained, the line of succession. And when I found that out, I was just like, oh, holy crap, that's such a cool concept. And it kind of reminds me of Battlestar Galactica,
Yeah. Whatever it is, I mean, it sounds perfectly suited to you. It's dark, it's depressing, it's morose. Did David Fincher produce it?
Sadly, no. But do not worry, because David Fincher is on this list.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about him right now. But actually, before I get to that, apparently, when I made my notes, I didn't write down what channel or like what studio was actually doing it. So I apologize, listeners, because I can't tell you which show is coming on which network. But if you're really interested, you can Google it and it'll come up. I think Designated Survivor is going to be an ABC show.
Yes, it is an ABC show.
It is?
Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now.
I think there was another show in development about the same concept, and I think they were in competing development, and I think this one won the race.
Yeah, well, according to the website that I'm looking at, spoilertv.com, Designated Survivor has been picked up.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, okay, since you mentioned David Fincher, I'm going to mention him. I am super excited about this because David Fincher has had a few TV shows in development that have failed miserably. I shouldn't say failed. I should say that they were cut short, where he had one called Utopia. He had one, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about... it was based off of a British show where people had superpowers or something like that, or like special powers. And like they would get so far, they casted these, they wrote some of the scripts. Even I think with Utopia, like Gillian Flynn, the writer of Gone Girl, was actually wrote some of these scripts, and then the studio just pulled the plug out of nowhere. But thankfully, David Fincher has landed a new TV show because I think he enjoys the TV atmosphere now, even though I want him to do more movies. I do believe that this is going to be a Netflix show. It's called Mindhunter, and it's described as an agent in the FBI's elite serial crime unit tracks down serial killers and rapists. And that sentence right there sounds like
David Fincher.
And it's
a good time for no one.
A good time for the Riddell household. That's what it is. And it's starring Jonathan Groff and Anna Torv. And Anna Torv is from Fringe, and she played an FBI agent in Fringe. So I would severely doubt if she played an FBI agent in this TV show.
Yep. That description could not be more David Fincher if it tried.
I know, right?
It really could.
Awesome. I love it. As you know, and as the world knows, I'm a huge House of Cards fan, and David Fincher was a big part of that. And like he was very heavily involved with season 1, but I don't think he's been involved since. His name's on the masthead, but it'd be nice to see him start a new show and see what he can give us in a different realm, and with something that is so close to home, with his Zodiac and Seven and and everything like that, and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is very, very much him. So I'm excited. But how about you give us some movies you're excited about?
Well, one of the things that sprung to mind, and I don't know why, because I guess it's the movie that no one's really talking about, and I can't really believe is happening, but it is, and it's there's casting announcements all the time that pop up for it, and we've talked about it before, Tristan, and that's next year's Alien Covenant.
Yes.
Like I said, it's a movie that I can't believe is actually happening, because it's like I'm not used to seeing Alien in front of a title for a really long time. This will be the first time, not counting those terrible AVP movies, that an Alien movie proper has been made since 1997 with Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to see where it goes. It's picking up from Prometheus, which was very divisive, but I'm willing to give Ridley Scott the benefit of the doubt coming off the back of The Martian. And it's taking, I think, one of the most, despite Prometheus's reception, one of the most well-received things about it was, I think, Michael Fassbender's character, and he's supposed to be the lead in this film. So he's taking one of the good parts of Prometheus and surrounding it with this kind of interesting story. I mean, it's about a ship that is looking to start a new colony or something like. Is that what I've read? I thought it was like a colony ship.
I'm not quite sure. I don't ever remember hearing anything about a colony ship, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I thought it, because Covenant is like Prometheus. It's the name of the ship. I know that for sure. All I know for the fact is that, it's Michael Fassbender and then a few other casting announcements that are mostly unknowns, except for, bizarrely, Danny McBride has been cast in this film. And,
yeah.
And you know what? That's fine, because we've yet to see what he's been casted for. I mean, he could be akin to Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton in the first one.
Here's the thing: is that Danny McBride plays one character in every single film. Danny McBride, unless he plays an extremely toned down version of himself, yeah, I could see him as an engineer like Kodo and everything like that, but he would have to be put on huge restraint in order for me to be able to stomach him.
You're always so negative. We haven't even seen the man's performance yet. Just give it a rest.
Hey, okay, come on, give me a break here. You cannot judge me for judging a casting choice when we have his entire body of work to judge him by. That's what you do. But now, if somebody said, okay, we're going to have David Fincher produce Barbies in Toyland or something like that, you would say that's a crazy choice. And I wouldn't say to you, oh, get over yourself, you're so negative. Of course, David Fincher can do whatever he wants. No, we can judge a person by the work that they have established.
I would say that it's an odd choice, but I always like giving filmmakers and actors a chance, because typecasting, I think, is it's an understandable thing, but I think it's a negative thing, because I think actors like stretching their legs, and I think they like trying new things, and this could be a new thing for him. We don't know, so I'm willing to at least watch his performance before I say he was a wrong choice.
Well, I'm not saying he was a wrong choice, but what I'm saying is that I do not foresee good things coming from him, but I hope to be surprised.
You didn't see good things coming from this film to begin with until you saw The Martian, so I mean,
that's not true. That's not true at all.
Oh, come on, that's very true. You had a
No. It wasn't The Martian. It was when it was still Prometheus 2, I was like, screw that. I don't want a Prometheus 2. I want Neil Blomkamp's Alien film, because Prometheus sucked hard. And then once it came out that they were changing the name, they were changing the focus, they were getting rid of the cast, they were just keeping the best parts and then moving forward, that's when I got excited.
The problem is, though, it was never announced as Prometheus 2. I remember the day that this was announced, and you threw a hissy fit that it wasn't going to be Blomkamp's film. And I wanted Blomkamp's film, too, but it was announced as Alien Covenant, or it was Alien something. I don't remember what it was.
Yes, but a description didn't come out. It was just a name change, that's all. Now, when the description came out, this is what I'm trying to tell you, is that when a description came out, that's when I got excited for it, because when they were abandoning this sequel idea that we all thought that they were going to do, that's when I got excited.
But it still is kind of a sequel. Like I said, Fassbender is still in it.
Yeah.
No, I think that you became a little less skeptical when the when the synopsis came out, and I think you were more into it after you saw The Martian, and what Ridley Scott could still make a good film.
This is true. It did not start with The Martian, but The Martian definitely did help. That's what I've been trying to say.
So like I said, it's a movie that it's hard to believe is happening because 2017 is 5 years after Prometheus, and if you're going to continue a story, you usually don't wait 5 years. But that's always been the thing with the Alien series, right? Is that for some bizarre reason the sequels are all like super spaced out, because you go from Alien to Aliens, and that was 7 years, and then from Aliens to Alien 3 was 6 years. And then from Alien 3 to Resurrection, that's the shortest. That's 5 years. So this matches from Alien 3 to Resurrection. But it's always one of those franchises that, for whatever reason, the sequels are spaced super far out. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it, though. It's coming out in the middle of October, which, that could be good. And Ridley Scott promises a hard R rating with this, and I hope he would, because I didn't hate Prometheus as much as you did. I was fine with it. But I've said this on multiple occasions to you. The fact that he put Alien into the title now that comes with an expectation. Like, I want to see... I was okay with not seeing a xenomorph in Prometheus. I will not be okay if I don't see a xenomorph in Alien Covenant.
Yeah, and we've been promised that from Scott.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's dumb. Scott may be misguided on certain films, and certain films may not be great, but I don't think he's stupid.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. Very true. Well, one thing that I think we need to talk about that's also coming out in 2017 is The Dark Tower.
Oh, yes, the Stephen King thing.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that we're getting a sci-fi fantasy Stephen King thing, and it's starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. I don't even need to know any more than that.
I need to read this book, because I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but I have not read all of his books. I've seen a lot of his movies, but I will be getting The Dark Tower and reading it before the film comes out, because I love King.
Yeah, I respect King a great deal for some of the stories that he's written and some of the novels and everything. But yeah, I haven't read this particular one, but it kind of makes me want to, just because here's how, for those of you who don't know, here's how it's described in Entertainment Weekly. The Dark Tower tells the story of the fallen land of Midworld through the eyes of Roland Deschain, a sort of frontiersman knight whose primary weapon is not a sword but a pair of revolvers. He's on a quest to save his decaying world by reaching the tower that stands at the nexus point in time and space. Now, do you know if Idris Elba is I'm looking at it right now. Idris Elba is the protagonist, and I think Matthew McConaughey is the antagonist.
They were always going to cast him as the antagonist, because this project, they've been working on a Stephen King project for a while. And for a long time, I don't know if you heard this news, but for a long time it looked like the movie was going to be an adaptation of not The Dark Tower, but The Stand, which is one of Stephen King's, in my opinion, one of his best novels, but it would be quite a feat of filmmaking to fit that novel into one movie. I really don't think you can do it. Because if you look at go the next time you're at a bookstore, if you're ever at a bookstore, Tristan, go look at The Stand, and it's thicker than the Bible, this thing. It's just a really long story, and there's a lot of narrative to it. It's already been adapted way back in the 90s as a miniseries, and I think that's the only way you could probably do it, is either a miniseries or a series of films. But they were going to cast Matthew McConaughey as the antagonist in that film, and when that didn't end up happening, I think they liked the choice of having him play a bad guy, so I think that's why he got casted as the villain in this Dark Tower adaptation.
Well, I go to the bookstore constantly, so I'll definitely check that out. And yeah, this project has kind of been in development hell since 2007. Like, it's at first it was going to be a J.J. Abrams movie, then it was going to be a Ron Howard movie, and now it's actually getting made with, I cannot pronounce his name, Nikolai Arcel or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so exciting.
Yeah, it will be great. I love it because, a Stephen King movie, that was, back in the heyday, those were coming out at least once every couple of years, and now not so much. So it'll be interesting to see a new modern day Stephen King adaptation. I'm looking forward to that.
Now, I have I have a lot more TV shows to talk about, but I'll just give a few more. And folks, if I mention these, it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily excited for them. It just means I think that they're worth discussion. So one is called Family Show. It's described as a single-camera comedy set behind the scenes of a fictional family sitcom, following crew members on set and at home.
How meta.
I know, right? So here's the thing. This is immediately what I thought of was Home Improvement. Okay, when I was a wee lad and I was watching Home Improvement, I always wanted to know the behind the scenes. I don't know why I was so fixated on Home Improvement specifically, but I always wanted to know what kind of relationship Patricia and Tim had, behind the scenes, and what it was like, being a TV dad to 3 sons in their formative years. And so, like, what was their relationship like as actors? During the last episode, the very, very last episode of Home Improvement, they all come out for their final bows. Everyone's screaming and clapping their hands, and like the cast just is crying. And Tim Allen grabs, I can't remember which actor it was, but he hugs one of the boys hard, and he's just both tears are coming down on both of her faces, and you can see him mouth the words, "I love you." And I was just like, oh man, this is just getting me right in the feels. And so if we can show the behind the scenes, this might be an interesting television show.
It could be an interesting television show if they also, if you're going to go meta, that means you want to play with cliches. I think that's one of the few reasons that you go meta. And I think the TV sitcom, the current crop of TV sitcoms are ripe for satire, because, I mean, even on this list, Tristan, go find any of the sitcoms besides this one, and they all sound very similar. It's like, here's this wacky situation, and this wacky things are going to happen. They're really a dime a dozen these days. So this has the potential to do something different and poke fun. I hope that's what this is.
Yeah, that would be nice to actually see something different, because when I was going through this list of TV shows in development or pilot order or anything like that, I shouldn't have been shocked, because it's nothing new, but I was shocked to see that most of them were cop dramas, medical dramas, buddy drama, like buddy sitcoms, and a lot of them were remakes and reboots and retellings of TV shows. And there was, for some reason, a lot of time travel ones. Like, I saw 4 or 5 time travel shows. Some were dramas, some were sitcoms. And I was just like, oh, is this going to be like a new trend, having a time travel TV show?
Right.
Well, one that caught my eye was called Still Star Crossed. And this is how it's described. The period drama picks up where Romeo and Juliet left off, charting the treachery, palace intrigue, and ill-fated romances of the Montagues and Capulets in the wake of the young lovers' tragic fate. This is going to be a horrible, horrible show, but I am interested to see it crash and burn.
Has it been picked up?
I don't think so. I don't think it's been picked up.
How do you make a sequel series to Romeo and Juliet? I think it's pretty...
I don't know.
I don't even like Romeo and Juliet.
I do. I like the play. I like the play a lot more than the movies that have been made. But yeah, that's the point, is that it's over. The point is that this family...
kind of ends with finality, in my opinion. But...
Well, it ends on a dire note, because it's supposed to show that this family caused this. That's why we have, Prince at the end, screaming at the family, saying that this is your works, basically. But yeah, anyway, there's one called The Jury. This one's actually I'm kind of interested about. A drama which follows a single murder trial a season, as seen through the eyes of the individual jurors, exploring the biases and experiences that influence the jurors' judgment and how their preconceptions change along the way. I love the idea of anthology television. And having a new trial every single season, new jurors every single season. I don't watch American Horror Story, but I appreciate its premise. And I've been really enjoying American Crime Story from the same people. And I'm interested to see what trial they'll do next year. And it's also what the girl and I thought, mainly, but the girl came up with the concept of what Fear the Walking Dead should have been. She thinks that it should have been an anthology show, where you have a different group of survivors in a different part of the world every single season, which I would think would have been very interesting.
Right. Well, it definitely forces writers to change things up every season and, avoid static characters and static story.
Yeah. All right, well, what other movies are on the docket for you?
Well, first of all, I'm just looking at some of these other TV shows, because I pulled up the pilot watch, and some of the ones that are either in development or picked up are bizarre, because like you said, it's some of them are reboots of, some of them are even TV shows based on films.
Yeah, a lot of them are TV shows based on films. Yeah.
That I had no idea, and I don't know could work as a network TV show. Like, for example, I'm looking at Fox, and Lethal Weapon is being turned into a TV series. Now, I love the Lethal Weapon films, but I love the Lethal Weapon films not just because of the cast, but because of the rating that allows the stories to be told. I don't know how you do Lethal Weapon on Fox. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, Taken is also being
How does
made
that
into a
turn
TV
into
show.
A TV show. It barely was a concept good enough. No, it wasn't even a concept good enough for 3 movies.
I love those movies. They're so ridiculous. They're so much fun to watch. But this is how it's described. A prequel to the film series, it will focus on how Brian Mills acquires his very particular set of skills and becomes the character we all know.
See, prequels are just inherently flawed like that, aren't they? Because it's for a lot of it, it's like, I don't care how they got their skills. I just want to see them do things. And then you talk about Lethal Weapon. I don't know how that's going to work. I have no idea how the hell they're turning The Exorcist into a TV show, but they are.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it either.
Because how does that become... Like, I could see how Lethal Weapon becomes serialized. But The Exorcist... So is, like, the devil going to be in a different person each week? Is that the thing? Is the pilot going to be the film done on a TV budget? You know, you hear what I'm saying? But
yeah, or maybe all the events lead up to the film and he's just dealing with demons until he gets to the big guy, the Prince of Darkness. I don't know.
Bizarrely, you know who's attached to this series that came up the other day that I'm like, well, I normally like her, so maybe I'll watch it for her. Gina Davis has been attached to The Exorcist. So
Oh, that's right. I read that. Yeah, that's the only reason why I would even give it 5 minutes is because of Gina Davis.
I love Gina Davis. So... And I do like The Exorcist, the film. I mean, I think it's a brilliantly made film. I just don't know how you turn it into a movie, but we'll see. Turn it into a TV show, rather.
Now, there's another one that caught my eye that was a movie that's going to be a TV show, and my initial knee-jerk reaction was, no, leave it alone. I love this movie. Just leave it alone. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? This might actually work. I don't know. It's a remake. It's called Frequency, off of the Frequency movie with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel.
Mm-hmm.
Remake of the 2000 sci-fi thriller described as a reimagining of the New Line Cinema film and flips the lead's gender. It revolves around a female police detective in 2016 who discovers she is able to speak via a ham radio with her estranged father, who is also a detective, who died in 1996. They forge a new relationship while working together on an unresolved murder case, but unintended consequences of the butterfly effect wreak havoc in the present day. Now, in the movie, Dennis Quaid was a firefighter.
Yes.
And Jim Caviezel was a detective. And Dennis Quaid died in a fire, and Jim Caviezel prevented that, but then crazy stuff started happening after that.
Yeah, his mother ends up getting killed, so they have to end up saving her, right? That was the plot to the film.
Yes, it's a great movie, and if you haven't watched it, watch it, because it is...
I haven't seen it since 2000.
I had a poster of it in my basement. I loved it so much. And so, you know what? I think this actually could be serialized television. I think this could be I think this could be addressed.
Yeah, that could be serialized television. I don't know how many seasons of serialized television that could be.
Yeah.
But you can get maybe a couple or 3 seasons out of that if it's done right.
I wouldn't mind seeing a limited engagement series, like a mini-series or something like that, but I know that they're not going to do that. But.
Well, that's the thing, is that most of these movies to TV adaptations, I think, that, I wouldn't mind seeing a mini-series of that, but I don't know how you stretch certain concepts out into, hopefully, I would think that most TV series are picked up with the hope that they'll go at least 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even think, like, the Star Trek 7 years are guaranteed. I think they just like to hit 5.
Yeah.
And be done, but
especially nowadays.
But like I said, I don't know how you get mileage out of certain things. But we'll see. That could be interesting. I did read that.
Now listen to this, and I'm not making this up. Every once in a while, you'll come across a movie or a TV show, and you'll read the description, and you're like, "What the hell? This can't be real life. This has to be a prank." This is one of those times, and not only is it ridiculous, but it's been picked up. It's called Son of Zorn, comedy that mixes live action and animation, in which, upon arriving home for the first time in 10 years, an animated barbarian father finds that reconnecting with his moody live-action teenage son, Alan, and ex-wife while suffering a mundane office job and the banality of suburban life is harder than waging actual war in his distant animated world.
I have no words for that.
I don't either. This is the world we live in, folks. This got picked up and Firefly only had one season.
Remember, like, I think it was something like 10, 13 years ago, Tristan, when they tried to turn the Geico Cavemen into a TV sitcom?
Yes. Yes.
That's what this reminds me of.
Oh, man, I had forgotten about that. Such a genius move in marketing that failed miserably. It was so great.
That's what this reminds me of, and I think it'll probably end up suffering the same fate, but we'll see. Next year, we are getting our sequel to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes.
I had completely forgotten about that.
That's because there's not been a whole lot of news on that front, but, you know, I don't think when Dawn was being made, we were getting, like, news updates all the time like we are for these comic book movies. I think the movie just gets made. Given that Dawn was my favorite movie of 2014, I'm very much looking forward to next year. We don't know too much about it, except that, you know, Andy Serkis is back, his crew of apes are back, and Woody Harrelson's in it, which is good news for me because I love him. But we don't know too much beyond that, but I'm very excited to see where the story goes.
Yeah, I'd say that this is outside of like Star Wars and comic book. Actually, you know what? In entering that stuff in, War of the Planet of the Apes is one of the movies I'm most excited about because, you know, our listeners know if you started from the beginning that Matt and I, we love Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. These are fantastic films, and they were such a surprise hit and a surprise quality of film that I hope they continue to make more, but if War is the last one and it's just a trilogy, it could be one of my favorite trilogies of all time.
It has potential, and it has all the people who worked on Dawn coming back. So it definitely is one of my most anticipated, and it makes me wonder too, because we're getting a new cast this time for the humans, I mean. So I wonder if they're going to tell us what happened to Malcolm and Felicity and their and his son, because they rode off into the sunset trying to avoid the upcoming battle. And we did find out in Dawn, it was implied we find out in Dawn what happened to James Franco. So I wonder if they'll do something similar for their group. That's one of my biggest curiosities. I don't know why it is, but it is.
I'm, you know, like, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with not knowing what happens, or like just knowing that they escaped or they left. You know, they're not going to be involved with the war or something like that. I'm fine with.
I'm not saying we need to see them. I'm saying like a dropped line.
Okay, I got
their names on a casualty list. You know, and like
gotcha.
Like we did for James Franco, where like you go back to his house and it's abandoned and it has like that red X marked on it, so it's implied that he died in the flu epidemic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like something that they just happen to find out in the course of the story, or that comes up in the course of the story.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Some other movies that I think was just announced by JJ was Portal and Half-Life, which are very, very popular video games. Have you ever played Portal?
No, but I've heard of both.
I haven't played Half-Life. Actually, I played Half-Life a little bit, so I don't know much about the mythos. But I am a huge fan of Portal. How you make that into a movie, I have no idea, because it's a puzzle game. But, I mean, hell, we live in a world where they can make a really good comedy out of Clue. You know, they have to be able to make a movie out of Portal.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've been saying that for 30 years.
That's true. That's true. It's kind of like when people say, listen, we can put a man on the moon, but we can't do this. This is bullcrap. And I was like, yeah, we put a man on the moon in the 60s. Let's move on. Let's use another example.
Video game. I love J.J. Abrams, but video game to movie adaptations, that's dangerous territory.
It is, but I think JJ could do it.
I mean, if anyone could do it, he could, but he's just producing one. He's not directing them, right?
He's probably just producing. Also, okay, do we need to talk about Dunkirk? But I guess there's not too much to talk about Dunkirk.
Other than it's Nolan's next film. And actually, one that I think I have my mixed opinions on Christopher Nolan the way I do about David Fincher, but this is a World War II film. Is that correct?
Yes.
I would like to see him do a World War II film. This is one that I would actually be interested in.
I keep thinking, like I've been talking about this with my wife, because this is about the evacuation of Dunkirk and during World War II. I do believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe that that's the case. I keep thinking, I was like, oh, Christopher Nolan's doing it. What's the twist? Like what's different? You know, how is this film gonna be a Christopher Nolan film? But this could be like his first straight film that we've seen since hell. When was the last time Christopher Nolan did a straight film?
The movie that I love but you don't, Insomnia.
That's right, Insomnia. That's right, Insomnia. Because even Memento, that wasn't a straight film. That had a hook. So yeah, that was his last straight film, which I didn't like that much.
Which is bizarre because it's the movie that I was able to follow the most, and I think the added benefit of there not being a hook actually made me like it, because his hooks pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. I still am not over the 2 hours that I wasted on The Prestige.
2 hours that you wasted on okay, we're not. Nope, you're not bringing me down this rabbit hole. We're moving on. Okay, so sadly, we also live in a world where they're remaking Jumanji, and my first question is why?
Because I think there's things that you could do to make a new adaptation for a new generation, and this should be something that if anyone's going to get angry about this, it should be me, because that movie was so near and dear to my childhood. But I'm not. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see what kind of storyline they adapt to it. I don't think it's gonna. I can't imagine that they're gonna do the same storyline from the first film. But yeah, I'm not angry. I'm not throwing my hands up into the air and being a curmudgeon like some people.
Well, I am. I'll wait and see what they're gonna do with it, but let's just do something different. All right, so some other, speaking of just do something different, is they're doing a MacGyver reboot. Another one where I'm going, why? Just leave MacGyver where it is. We're also getting a Xena reboot, and the only reboot or revival or whatever that I'm looking forward to is The Tick.
Oh, God.
Did you ever watch The Tick when it was on?
Yeah.
It is definitely an acquired taste, and it is super weird, and I think I enjoyed it mainly from a sociological perspective of trying to analyze it. Like, where is the humor in this? Like, why do people like this? But this, in case you don't know what it is, here it is that in the new incarnation, the blue suit wearing Tick is recovering from a memory loss. He ends up re-teaming with Arthur to fight evil. Newman's Arthur, played in the Fox series by David Burke, had been labeled as a schizophrenic because of his statements that evil plans to rule the city. And no one believes him until he runs into Tick. So, okay, so this is a revival. This isn't a reboot. This is a continuation from the original Fox show. Everyone should look this up because it's its own entity. It's very weird.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, very bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, we also have American Gods, which I am very much looking forward to.
Well, that's Brian Fuller, who's producing the new Star Trek. So it'd be interesting to see how he holds between two series. I think he could do it. I don't think J.J. Abrams produces a whole bunch of series, and he doesn't suffer from burnout. So,
yeah, but J.J. Abrams does a great job of setting up TV shows, but not following through.
Who knows? I think it'll be fine. I have high hopes.
I'm not worried either, because I'd rather have some Brian Fuller than no Brian Fuller in Star Trek.
And it's a Starz series, right? So like it doesn't necessarily have to be the same amount of episodes or engagement as a regular network.
Right.
So that should be interesting. And speaking of going back to the movie side of it, the one movie that was announced, and I'm like, wow, this could be interesting. Going on the other side of the Alien versus Predator spectrum, we have a new Predator movie directed by Shane Black, who was actually in the first movie. It just called.
I was wondering how you were going to feel about this.
The Predator.
Yeah.
With the definitive article in front of the title now. I don't know. It could be good. I always approach these movies as they could be good.
Well, I like Shane Black. Like, if it didn't have Shane Black, I would be like, okay, whatever. But now that it's directed by Shane Black, I'd be like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
I mean, it's just barely in the in the development stage, and it's scheduled for March of 2018 right now. So we're still a couple of years out, but you know what? That actually could be a good movie. And Predator is a franchise that has struggled with its sequels. I didn't much care for Predator 2. We already know my feelings about the AVP films. I, honest to God, did not mind the 2010 Predators film. I thought if any of all the sequels, that was probably the most entertaining.
I haven't seen that, and I kind of want to.
It's not a blow you away film. It's just strict popcorn entertainment on a Saturday afternoon kind of film, but it is not bad. I'm setting you go. If you watch that film, I'm just setting you up for the right expectation.
Okay.
But this one could actually be a really good film, given the talent behind it.
Well, I think we have time for one more movie, and the one that I would like to talk about is Ready Player One.
Oh, the Spielberg one, right?
Yes, that's right. This is going to be coming out in a couple of years, and I think it's going to be coming out in 2018, March of 2018. And I'm going to read the synopsis of the back cover because it's based off of a book, like so many movies are. In the year 2044, reality is an ugly place. The only time teenage Wade Watts really feels alive is when he's jacked into the virtual utopia known as the Oasis. Wade's devoted his life to studying the puzzles hidden within the world's digital confines. Puzzles that are based on their creator's obsession with the pop culture of decades past and that promise of massive power and fortune to whomever can unlock them. But when Wade stumbles upon the first clue, he finds himself beset by players willing to kill to take this ultimate prize. The race is on, and if Wade's going to survive, he'll have to win and confront the real world he's always been so desperate to escape. Now, this is directed by Steven Spielberg, and what's really, really funny is that I haven't read the book, but I want to, is that there's a lot of Steven Spielberg references in the book because it's heavy on pop culture from the 90s and 80s, and Spielberg was a titan in those decades. People asked him, that was the first question that people asked Steven Spielberg was, are you going to keep the references? And he said no. He's going to take out the Spielberg references, which I think is a smart move.
Yeah, because then people would accuse him of being, arrogant.
Self-serving.
Right. Yeah, I could see the potential in it. That could be interesting. I've heard a lot of... Something just happened with that film, right? Didn't someone just get cast? Or there was news recently
Simon
about
Pegg.
it. Yeah, that's it.
And another Star Trek connection is that the audiobook is narrated by Will Wheaton.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Well, now I'm definitely interested. I'll definitely give that a shot. Before we wrap up, Tristan, I think we can tie this into both what we're talking about and news that happened this week. Because and I want to get your thoughts on this because this should be interesting. Speaking of Spielberg, we got an announcement this week that Indiana Jones 5 is happening. And that's being scheduled for 2019.
Yeah. Where Harrison Ford will be 77 years old.
Now, I'm of two minds on this. One, we all know how the world and presumably you and I felt about Crystal Skull.
Yes.
But two, given the success of certain franchise revivals that also had a connection to George Lucas, if done right, and if we get the Harrison Ford that was in The Force Awakens and not the one that was in the Crystal Skull, I'll use my phrase again, it could be good, but we'll see.
Okay, here's the thing. Do we need another Indiana Jones film? I don't think so.
No, obviously not.
If it's a good film, then yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna like it. I'm not gonna be weird about it. Like, even if it's good, I'm not gonna say, we don't need it. No, if it's good, I want to enjoy it. Since they're going to make it and they haven't consulted me, Tristan Riddell, Joe Schmo, then yeah, of course, if it's good, I'm going to enjoy it. I got into an argument with some fellow co-hosts the other day because I thought it was a universal accepted truth that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was one of the worst movies ever made.
Those are people. There are people out there who like it. Those people are wrong, but they're out there.
Here's the thing: is that like you and I try to breed a lot of positivity on this show, and we try to say like we had an episode where it's just said collect what you collect, like what you like, do what you want to do, and I truly believe that. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is one of those movies where it pushes me to my limits of that philosophy of this show, because I have never been more angry at a picture than with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, I saw it with a buddy of mine. Actually, I saw it, one of my closest friends and I saw it together, and we took our families to go see it, and we sat a couple, chairs down from each other. And every once in a while, I think like every 15 minutes, we would do this automatically at the same time, like it was telepathy, but something insanely horrible would happen on the screen, and we would just lean over and look at each other like, is this really happening on screen? Mm-hmm. Anybody who wants to know my full thoughts on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, just watch the South Park episode that they did about it.
I was 19 when that film came out, and I remember going to see it, and I was a casual fan of the previous Indiana Jones films, so I wasn't like primed to be really upset if it was different. But halfway through the film, when I realized, oh, they're actually doing aliens this time, is out of all the things they've done, and we've seen literally the face of God in one of these films. I mean, of all the things they've done, somehow I drew the line at aliens. Because it was never that franchise.
Exactly. That's the thing, is like that's people's excuse, where they'll say like, oh, like we literally see the face of God, and we see people's hearts ripped out of their chest. We see like a knight from the Middle Ages who has survived drinking holy water, but yet aliens isn't plausible to you. Yes, I know all of that sounds absurd and crazy and out of this.
It was never science fiction. It was always supernaturalism.
Yes, thank you. That's the key difference. There's a key difference between supernaturalism or fantasy or myth and science fiction. And that's what Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was. And it felt like a video game. It felt like a bad video game. And like the person I was arguing with, and I told him, I said, I was like, dude, if you like it, I'm not going to try to take away your joy. Watch it as many times as you want and love it, but don't try to tell me I'm wrong for not liking it. Because like what he said, he's like, oh, if you remove the monkeys, then it's a good film. No. And I told him, I was like, no, you would have to remove a whole lot more.
Those are the same people that argue that if you remove Jar Jar from episode 1, it's a good film.
Now, I continually say, I will have, just like with Alien Covenant, I will have more hope for this picture if they tell me that Shia LaBeouf is not involved.
Well, they haven't said that yet, but they haven't not said that yet.
Exactly.
So I wonder who's going to be involved. Is Karen Allen coming back? Because they're supposed to be married at the end of the last one.
Yeah, they kind of have to, unless they make Indy on location the entire time.
Yeah. For the love of God, Spielberg, don't bring Kate Capshaw back.
I like Temple of Doom.
I don't mind Temple of Doom, but she's easily the worst part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She gets annoying, but if you can get past that, it's all right.
I almost didn't get past it on my first watching of it.
I can understand that. That's the thing, is that like, even though I like the movie, I get it why people don't like it. I really do. Like, I understand that and appreciate it.
Once we got to the Temple of Doom, it was a good film again, but all the slapstick leading up to it was really like, it was testing my patience. It really was.
Now, this news broke at the same time that Olivia Wilde released the information that she was up for the part of Margot Robbie's character in The Wolf of Wall Street, and she later found out that she was turned down because she was too old. I was floored, because I was just like, wow. And this is like the 6th time that I'm going to use this phrase, but we live in a world where 28 is too old to play an opposite romantic lead for Leonardo DiCaprio, but yet 77 is totally okay for an action movie star.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be optimistic about this, but I'm not going to be closed-minded either.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at too. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, if we get the level of Harrison Ford that he was in The Force Awakens for this film, at least he'll be dynamic. That's the other problem about Indy 4, is that you can tell he just doesn't want to do this film.
Which is really weird, because, like years ago, before Indy 4 and before Force Awakens, somebody asked Harrison Ford, they said, would you ever do another Star Wars? And he's like, no, I don't think so. They said, would you ever do another Indiana Jones? He's like, in a heartbeat. So he was excited for this project. So maybe he didn't like the script, though.
Who knows? But that energy just wasn't there. And it was so lacking. And, then they turned to Shia LaBeouf to try to bring up the energy, which is always a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that would be an interesting way and a contemporary news way of ending our discussion, because that literally was just announced this week that we're recording this.
Just announced, yeah. Now, here's the thing, though, is that just one more thing before we go, is that Last Crusade came out in 1989, right?
Yeah, it's as old as I am.
So Sean Connery was 59 in 1989.
Are you hoping they bring him out of retirement? No, he's dead. He's supposed to be dead.
He's dead. No, this is what I'm saying, is that he was 59 playing a little bit older, like playing a guy in his 60s or early 70s, because Connery's only 12 years older than Harrison Ford is. So like in real world logistics, he could never be his father. Even though Harrison Ford did say in an interview, if you knew Sean, you would know it was possible, which I think is hysterical. So he was 59 playing Jones Sr., and we're now going to see an individual who is 18 years older than Sean Connery was in Last Crusade playing the lead. And I'm not trying to be ageist, but I'm just trying to put that in perspective, is that we saw Sean Connery as the old man, the bumbling old man with his umbrella, but we're going to see Harrison Ford at 77 as the individual who can still do it. Just wanted to throw those numbers out there.
We'll see how it turns out. Because what will they have him do in this film is my question.
Yeah, who knows? All right, well, that's our show, folks. As you notice, we didn't talk about any comic book movies because you guys,
that's every other
you
show.
guys are in the know. We talk about DC and Marvel a lot, and we talk about like Disney stuff a lot. We all know that Toy Story 4 is coming out. We all know that Incredibles 2 is coming out.
I will say it's kind of bizarre to realize that in just 3 years, in 2019, the current iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be closed.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it'll be interesting to watch. But we didn't talk about it because you guys already know what's going on. But yes, please, if you can, if you have a show idea for us, whether it's for me and Matt or Matt and Lee, you can email us at contact@thenerdparty.com, or you can find us on Twitter. You can find me at @theinsanerobin, or you can find Matt at mhanson0207. And also, please go to iTunes and write us a review. It only takes a couple of seconds. And actually, we have a few iTunes reviews to talk about. And that is, both gave us 5 stars, and one from Oreo Cookie Cow and Rugcutter305. And if we missed you, we apologize. We will get to you next time. And I just want to thank those people for giving us 5 stars, because it really helps us out. Like, we give you free entertainment. We don't ask for money. There's no advertisements. But if you can take the 5 seconds and write us a review, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, we really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us for this upcoming TV and movie discussion on the Senate floor. And as always, stay tuned.
Welcome to Nerd